Hey everyone, this is Rocky from WeLearnChess.com, and I was recording another video while I was letting the program finish producing the other video, the one you just see up about the interesting finish to that French winnower game. And I was just killing time while I was waiting for the video to produce, and I thought I hit record, and I was recording, but I guess the program doesn't let you record and produce at the same time because it closed out. So I thought I made this awesome like 20-minute video here. Well, I think it was awesome. And no, it didn't record at all. So, or it got canceled out when something happened with the program. So, however, the game was really interesting. So I want to quickly show it to you in case that you're a player who plays the Ruy Lopez exchange variation from either side. So, okay, my opponent had white and he played for this exchange variation. And here I think you just are supposed to castle, and you know uh, it's a long theoretical endgame that's pretty boring to play in my opinion. But maybe white can try to do something on the queen side, but it's really hard for white to get a pass pawn against this pawn structure in the end. So um, I don't really know the plans for both sides, I guess I should say, but I know that black has the two bishops, so I guess you want to try to open the board a little bit and try to use those. But that would be something interesting to study if you like to play that. But what my opponent did here is he played this move, which is it just really surprised me because I'm not like a super high rated player or anything, but at this level you rarely see people play this, and we were playing a 10-0 game, so it's not like it was even a bullet game or something where you can just try to maybe hope your opponent doesn't is pre-moving or doesn't see it or something, doesn't respond correctly. But the correct move here is pretty easy to find. It's just queen d4, and the idea here is just that the knight has to go back, and then you take this and something like this, and the computer gives black a slight advantage here, really slight, like 0.3 or zero point 0.4 or something, just probably because of the bishop pair. But that's a really silly, just a really silly thing to do as white. You know, why voluntarily give black an advantage almost in a forced variation? Like you could just, you could play some other opening where you force black to fight for equality first. You're not just hand it to him for free. The computer gives this funny line actually here instead of this. Just play like knight g4, which is kind of funny, and then knight e3, and it protects this g2 pawn, which is important not only right now but in like the next move. So you could probably get something like, I don't know what the best move is here, but something like this where um, I don't know, probably both sides castle. Something like this where after 9 moves here, again black has a slight advantage, but he's got slightly better development because he's got 3 pieces active as opposed to white's 1. But and notice that this knight is also serving a purpose here because this doesn't, like, let's just say he, you know, I don't know what's best here, but like this doesn't work here just because this knight has got this square still. So yeah, maybe even something like that and get the other knight out and get the bishop out. But also his pieces are a little tied up. But I guess the downside for black is that, well, on the one hand, he doesn't have the knight on f6, which usually blocks pawns in these opposite sides castling games. But his queen's in the way, so he's got to somehow get it out of the way before he starts pushing pawns. But or he could push maybe the h pawn and get behind that or something. But it's not like totally perfect. But even if you don't believe me, you can see here Stockfish evaluation after queen d5 is, yeah, minus zero point 0.4 evaluation for black, and if something like this is played, just like a 0.3 0.4. These evaluations don't like mean a whole lot, but it's just that like when they're this close, they're just kind of silly to give black the bishop pair for no reason. And it's really hard, like you'll see in the game I'm about to show you, it's hard for white to make a pass pawn with these pawns unless he's able to compromise them in some way first. So I guess that's one of white's plans. And if you look too in these databases that I have, okay, I only have 1.7 million games plus another 100,000, so like only 1.8 million games. But this has only been played with really high-rated players too. But this move here, knight takes, has only been played like I don't know, like 11 or 12 times, and almost all of them are losses for white. Black wins or draws almost every single time, except there's one if you go way back to like 1889. And these are players like you've never probably heard of most of these players, just because like the highest rated player is 2500. Nobody's playing this stuff. So anyway, okay, if you play the Exchange Ruy for white, then you probably already know not to take this pawn. But I just thought it was weird. I mean, the guy's rated like almost 1600, and it wasn't a new account. I checked. I mean, he's been playing. He's got plenty of pages of Blitz games, so it was just kind of weird. But okay, so he went back, and then he did something really interesting. After I took, he didn't trade queens, which I just thought was even stranger than what he did. He played King F1, and I really don't think I've ever seen this. I mean, maybe when I first started playing, I'm not really sure, but I had to think here about what to play, and I didn't play the best move. I forget what the best one is according to the computer, but it's still pretty good. This is almost as good. And I just figure here, if he tries to trade queens, I'm gonna take this knight first. He's gonna end up with double isolated f pawns in some way. So if he did something like this, well, here he would just lose a piece. But he's probably not gonna do that. But if he tried to do something like this again, to not lose a piece, he'd have to just go down to this bad structure in the endgame. And now it's probably gonna be hard for me to make a pass pawn too. But I don't know. I feel like I have better chances to compromise these pawns and attack these pawns than he does to attack these pawns. So I would just be better, I think, here. But okay, so he didn't do that. Let's see. He played d3 just to kick the queen, and I took this first because if he takes the queen now, then I just win a piece. So no sense doing that. So he didn't do that. So he took here, which makes sense. And now I found, over the course of the next, I don't know, 10 or 15 moves, I played a lot of moves which were the best move by the computer, which is really cool. I love when I put it in the analysis, and it's just like, I had 0 blunders in this game and 1 inaccuracy, but I had 9 mistakes. But almost all the mistakes were in the end when I was under time trouble, and I just had so many good choices, it didn't really matter anyway. But yeah, this was the best move. And I found this move here, which was a cool idea of playing King D7, which this is probably like, I don't know, maybe my favorite move in the game, just because I had to think about it, and I came up with the right idea. And the idea is that it's actually faster than castling, because if you do something like this, and I don't know, let's just make moves just for the sake of doing something here. You've got to make all these moves, just to. I'm not even saying I'm making the best moves. I'm just, he's in a pin here. Okay, so maybe we could get something like this, but or maybe he has to try to fix his king first. But in any case, well, I'd still much rather be black, and I probably didn't make the best moves for white. But you saw how long that took, and I didn't want to take long. I wanted to keep the pressure on, so I didn't want to do something like that. So I played King D7 with the idea of swinging this rook over and getting a tempo on the queen. So just always looking for tempo moves. He's trying to save his king here, get it safe, but I don't let him for the whole game. So I was kind of happy about that. Now he puts himself into a pin, and I'm able to exploit that pretty nicely. So now he's got to keep this rook over here because I've got some pressure. And I also found a cool move here, which I liked. I mean, you can imagine just something like normal here, like knight e7 with ideas of maybe playing the knight out, or even knight f6. But if you do something like that now, let's just say here, then he gets this knight into this great square, and if I take it, he just fixes his pawns, and he's still, he still has some problems, but this looks a whole lot better than what is in the game. So, and he's no longer pinned either, which is a huge feature of the position in the game. So I was proud of myself that I found this move here, and it's the recommended move by Stockfish too, which is pretty cool. So just keeping that knight out of there and keeping the pin. So this actually made my life easier. I think I can just take this, which the computer was considering all kinds of moves, and eventually comes to that as the best move. It's always funny when computers see free material and increasing the pin strength and everything, and it takes them a while to decide whether that's the best move, because there's just so many crazy options that you can do. But okay, so anyway, the strength on the pin here is increasing, and he had an interesting idea of trying to get the knight here, but it doesn't help him. This is the best move, and I've seen this kind of this maneuver. This is an interesting pattern to look at, where you freeze this pawn here and you kind of force the king into a more uncomfortable position. Now he's pinned, you know, all which ways is going to be pinned. If he tries to escape this way, which he does, then he's pinned along the diagonal. His queen's pinned, the bishop's pinned. I mean, just like directly or indirectly, relative or absolute pins all over the place. So, but this is a kind of interesting pattern where you play these two checks here, like that, and then diagonal, and just kind of sink your queen in there. And he can't do anything like let's just say after my next move, if he tried to do something like this, I can just take it because this is still pinned. So, and if you try to play the knight back, it's probably even worse because I've just got maybe even rook takes, but yeah, probably just rook takes in that case, but and then queen takes, and I'm just winning material anyway. So yeah, okay, so he didn't do that. Okay, so he's trying to escape, but now he's pinned along the diagonal here, and I just was trying to decide between knight g4 and knight e5, and actually the computer kind of is split. They're both equally good at like minus 6.6 or 6.5 advantage for both of them. I eventually went with this one just because it was keeping an eye on my bishop in case anything changed. I also have ideas of coming over here, and it's hard for him to really get rid of it. He tries to get rid of it right away, which is probably just a mistake, but I don't really know what else he can do anyway. Maybe just probably trying to get this other rook out of here before, so his king can get. It's like 3 or 4 moves to get his king over here, so it's crazy. But he probably had to start with something like this. But okay, so anyway, yeah, he tried to force the knight out, and just rook takes is better. A lot of times when you're in these positions, and this is another pattern that comes up, where if you can set up discover checks, it's better than the immediate check. So even if I take him with the bishop, then I would have discoveries on the queen. But there's nothing really else on dark squares, so it's not really, it wouldn't have been so great to take with the bishop here. So you figure something like this. And then what am I really going to attack here? Everything's on a light square. So, yeah, I get a discovery, but it's not really doing something so forcing. And even then, I'd have to probably move to a better square. But anyway, so rook takes is much better. So basically forces him to take this because, I've got discoveries on the king, and I'm threatening to just take this piece, so he might as well just cut his losses, which is what he does, and it's what the computer recommends. Just try to probably set up a fortress or something. And yeah, I made a mistake here. I looked at this move, but I was probably down to about under 2 minutes at this point, and the point about this was it's not like that hard to see, but one, it gets a tempo on the pawn, but it also makes this rook check just deadly. So something like, if he did something like protecting the pawn, that would be totally insane. But let's just say he did it, then what are you gonna get? This is just this is terrible. Here's probably, yeah, that's probably the best. This is actually a forced mate in like 8, but I don't really know if oh, that would just take the knight. So yeah, he would probably what? Yeah, take with the knight. I'm sorry, what am I doing here? And then probably here blocks, and we've got this check. At some point I would probably start missing some stuff here. Probably this check, or the rook check first, probably, just to keep him from. This is another important theme where if you're on a king hunt, always try to look for the moves where you cut off the king's escape routes, because it can be one of the most frustrating things when you've got an attack going and you let the king escape. So this way he can't go back either way, so it forces him either up or over, and either way I'm pretty sure he's getting mated here. Yeah, anywhere he goes, right? If he goes here, then it's pretty simple. So, wherever he goes, it doesn't matter. There's that. So he would probably have to go here. Oops. But then you just take this, and then it's made that way. So, yeah, so that would have been interesting. Anyway, the game didn't finish that way, but I don't know if I would have found all that in the game, although some of those moves probably are kind of natural. But in any case, I had another idea which I thought was creative, but I didn't play the queen over. I went for this check actually, thinking that if he took this here, then that's just terrible. Or actually, with the rook might even be better. Actually, yeah, the rook's better probably. But he saw that, so then he went back here, and then now it's kind of hard for me to infiltrate. So I mean, I'm still totally winning, but the rest of the game was just kind of a little bit of cleanup. I mean, trading a rook was probably a good idea. And here's where I'm starting to make mistakes, where I'm not playing the best moves. But I mean, I always have just a totally winning advantage. Like I was down to 30 seconds, and he was down to like 5 seconds here, so we're not really playing great chess anymore. But in any case, he's totally lost. I mean, I'm going to be able to infiltrate, and this was the last move of the game, where now he's just dropped a piece. But which actually you did see that he was going to lose a piece there. But in any case, it was kind of a cool game where I played a lot of like best moves by the computer. And it's a really shame that I lost my live feed, but my live recording. But at the same time, it was cool to look at it first with Stockfish. I guess afterwards I could kind of speak a little more intelligently about some of the other parts of the position. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So if you play the Exchange Ruy, obviously you probably already know this, but don't play this move with white. And if for whatever reason with black you get into some positions, maybe not from this game, but where you can see some of these patterns. Well, I guess as white or black, where you saw a couple of the patterns we saw in the game, the attacking patterns, you might be able to use them. And yeah, good luck with your chess and have fun.